Hey, my friends. So today I want to go through various questions that I get from friends and family, from subscribers, and questions that I've asked myself. I just want to kind of put some things out there for us to chew on. This is going to be like in a podcast format, so I won't have anything really on the screen to see. It's just going to be an audio file pretty much. It just makes things a lot more simple, so I appreciate your understanding. I've been very busy just trying to make my own preparations for things that have been going on. And so we're talking about CV. I'm just going to refer to it as that and not say the actual word, just because that word is flagged so much these days here on social media. It's being heavily censored. People get demonetized like my channel was. I think that was probably the real reason. And not that my channel has repetitious, content and uneducational content. I think it was literally that I spoke about CV, and then because a few days later, boom, demonetized. Other friends that have larger channels than my own, they have problems with their subscribers staying subscribed. Like thousands or even tens of thousands of subscribers are unsubscribed the next day. And that this is kind of an ongoing problem with a lot of channels that actually talk about CV. Also, channels that are being just deleted. They just, the content creator wakes up one day and logs in and boom, there is no channel left. And that's just because they talked about CV. It's real. It's a real thing. This is not no hype. And so there is a very concerted effort to sanitize the web of just dialogue about what is going on concerning CV. So CV is a grade 5 virus. A grade 5 virus is the worst type of virus. It's the most infectious type. Has also the highest death count. And right now we're looking at over 60 countries in the world that have an outbreak of CV. The true number of infected is totally unknown. We don't have a clue. The best estimates from scientists is probably a factor of 50 of the known infections that are officially listed. So at least 50 times what we know already that already exist. And that could be really a lowball number. So is this a black swan event? It's possible. It will affect our population. I mean, it already is. It does kill people. It's destroying economies. It's causing a lot of political tension. Well, not that we didn't already have that, but it's just making things even worse. Social norms. Yeah, I mean, it's just putting a lot more fear, in communities and fear in people's lives. The time to prepare is over for a lot of people. I keep in contact with a few subscribers on a weekly basis in the United Kingdom and throughout Europe. And let me tell you, there is in some of the people's cases, there is no supplies to be had. The stores are empty, the grocery stores are bare, and that's just the facts. And so for some of my subscribers, the time to prepare is over. And that's kind of a frightful thing to say out loud. At least for me, it is. Now, some people in the U.S. can still prepare. Now, some people can't. There are places that there was a massive run on supplies, even today in New York and Oregon and Washington State and in Northern California. There's been massive runs on supplies. And I have friends, even family, that are in complete denial about this. They just think it's a joke, or they think it's just all a hoax, or it's overinflated or whatever. And the reality is, it's a real thing. I mean, I even have some of you guys, and I'm sure that you guys mean well. Everybody that has messaged me about this has been really polite, but they think that this is all just overblown. And with all due respect, I think it's completely underreported. And I think they're just trying to contain this as best they can and keep people from completely panicking and really just kind of keeping, the whole structure together, the rule of law. Because if most people knew how bad it's going to really get, or at least the potential of how bad it can get, there could be a lot more problems in society, just, in the greater sense of society. How much stuff should you have for what type of time period are we talking about? That's a question I get a lot. I don't really know how long this is going to take to burn out in an area. 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. I would say 3 to 6 months minimum of supplies, minimum. And so you want things to help sanitize your person, your body and your house, your clothes. You want to have enough food, enough water, basic medical stuff at least. You want to have personal protective equipment. Now, at this point, even for those in unaffected areas, there's just probably not going to be any supplies left. Okay, so at this point, a lot of that protective equipment is gone, and it has been gone in some places for weeks now. Is this going to be endemic in the population? So, like, for example, is this going to be like something that's going to be reoccurring, like in a seasonal sense, like the flu, or is this going to be like mutating? Well, they have found, mutated strains of this CV. And so this could be something that kind of lingers throughout the year, or it could just be a seasonal thing in the future. It could just go away and burn out completely. But scientists are saying, though, that most likely this won't just disappear all the way. It'll linger, at least for a while, and probably mutate. And so we're going to have to see if the summer heat slows it down or has any type of effect. We're going to have to see if certain climates or environments are not well tolerated with this virus. We're going to have to see with that. But we do know that isolation, and if you boost your immune system, that really does a lot. I've been taking elderberry extract. It's something new that I've been adding to my regimen. Just basically staying away from highly populated centers, and just staying away from people, really. There's a lot of questions about this particular CV. Is this genetically modified? In my opinion, yes. I mean, there's just a lot of evidence pointing toward stuff going on in Wuhan, China. A lot of things that are just kind of creepy, the more you dig into it. So you might want to check that out. People actually just point blank, just ask me the question, should I take this seriously? Yes, you should. Yes, you should. You should have taken this serious like a month ago, with all due respect. Is this a national emergency? Yes, this is. This is a global emergency. Our school is going to close. Well, they already have. Even in the U.S., there's certain schools that have closed. And in other countries, there's been I think Japan is keeping them closed until like middle of April or later. And that's just their best estimate right now. It could go much longer. And China is the same way. They're talking about maybe at the earliest trying to reopen schools in April. But once again, that's just a guess. It probably will be even longer. We just don't know. A lot of questions about quarantines. Obviously, there is quarantines even here in the U.S. going on, not just in other countries. So, yes, that is a real thing. Will it get to the point that the military is like quarantining off cities and towns and blocking roads? Probably will. Yeah, that's probably coming, in weeks, if not even sooner. I don't know. I just know it's very possible. Could all this just blow over tomorrow and just be like a big nothing burger? It's possible, but if you just look at what's going on, everything indicates that something big is going to happen, or it's only getting worse. It's not getting better. So I'm just kind of reporting what I can see that is happening globally. And so right now things are only getting worse, not better. But there is hope that we have. I mean, this won't last forever. This could just last a few more weeks, or it could last just a few more months and then start to kind of, slow down. It could go a year or more. I mean, we just don't know. So that's why you have to be as prepared as possible. Is there going to be a run on banks? It's possible. Is there going to be a stock market crash? I mean, it's already crashing. I think it's 10% or even more on the major indexes as of today, from the high. So, I think we're going to probably go into a recession. That's possible. A depression, maybe as well. I mean, it could get that bad. I hope not, but it could. Another question here, a run on food. Is there going to be a run on food and essentials? Yes, once again, it's already happening. New York State, Washington State, Oregon State. You have, California, parts of Texas. I even heard there's a run on essentials. And so there are places, though, at this very moment of me doing this video that have no reports of any CV, that still have some essentials, Their grocery stores are somewhat stocked, and there's not like panic buying going on, but there are plenty of places that are dealing with panic buying, people hoarding things, people that are not prepared. They're just really scared and fearful, and they're just buying everything up. So you don't want to be in that group. You don't want to have to be one. You don't want to be one of those people that wait to the last minute. And so these are just some of the questions that I've been thinking about, or you guys have messaged me, or friends and family have brought up. And I just wanted to just do this. And, I'm just going to do the best I can to stay safe. And I hope you do too. And I really hope this kind of blows over. But just at this moment, the information that, is available, it just looks like it's getting worse. And so if it continues to get worse and spreads even more, especially here in the U.S., then we have a big problem on our hands. I mean, a real big problem. And so you just have to at least consider that possibility and what you're going to do about it. And once again, this is something that a lot of people don't want to think about. I mean, I have like one friend in particular, and she laughs about this when I bring it up. I mean, she thinks it's like a real big joke. And then she wants to remind me that I warned her about Ebola. And I didn't, go very far with that with her. I just let her know that Ebola was spreading. And that was a couple of years ago when there was an outbreak, a pretty severe outbreak. And she thought that was a big deal and it was supposed to go global or whatever. And it did get around the world pretty good, but it did, it was contained. It was not as infectious as the CV. And this is much, much more dangerous just because it is so much more infectious. So the CV, this particular variant that's spreading, it is super dangerous. And so those who are not into preparedness at all have a hard time just accepting reality sometimes. And I know people that just recently went out and bought a new car, or they had their nails done, or they had their hair done and they spent $50 on a new hairdo, or I know people that just bought this new big fancy winter coat that was $200, or bought a new pair of tennis shoes that were $150. But they don't really have more than maybe a few days of food in their pantry. Now, is that smart? Is that even reasonable? I don't think it's reasonable at all. I have no problem, you going out and spending some money on yourself, but only after you have all of your essentials taken care of. Only after you've done some things to prevent hardship and suffering and even possibly death. I mean, it doesn't make sense to expose yourself like that and not have a backup, not to even have a plan. It's just so crazy. So I do plead with you. I ask you, please, to get prepared, because if this continues to get worse, as it is, it's just getting worse and worse. You're going to have to rely on these preps to get through. Your government isn't going to save you. Your neighbor probably isn't going to save you. Well, your neighbors might help you. Hopefully they will, or maybe you can help them. But you're going to probably have to rely mostly on your efforts. And so this is how it is. So I wish you all the very best, and I keep you guys all in my prayers, and hopefully you keep me in your prayers, and that things will hopefully get better sooner than later. You guys take care.